Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Ernst Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. The college football playoff semifinals are coming right around the corner, and me and WillND, we break down both of these semifinal games. But up first, we're starting out with the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan is barely favored in this game, but a lot of people still believe Alabama is the better chance to win because of Nick Saban's experience. Me and WillND, do we believe that Michigan will be able to break the snide and win a college football playoff game and knock off Alabama for a prime opportunity to win a national title? Or do we believe that Nick Saban will get the best of Jim Harbaugh and Alabama will be able to knock off Michigan and get to the national title game to face either the Texas Longhorns or the Washington Huskies for possibly another national championship for the Crimson Tide?
All right, here we go. The college football playoff.
This is what everybody's been waiting for. It's what's on the thumbnail. It's in the title. The college football playoff semifinals. You've got Michigan favored by 1.5 over Alabama. Obviously, everybody is probably looking more forward to Alabama, Michigan, unless you're a Texas or Washington fan. I'm looking forward to the other game, too. And like you said earlier at the beginning of the show, this is the first year in a while that you really are looking forward to both games. They both have the potential to be that good, but Alabama, Michigan's the headliner for sure. This is just going to come down to Jim Harbaugh versus Nick Saban. I mean, we're talking about a guy, Nick Saban, that wins. And when he gets here, his winning percentage is unmatched by anybody. Not even Kirby Smart yet. Even though if Kirby keeps it up, maybe eventually. But, I mean, Nick Saban just wins. And I know they've had a down year compared to years past. Alabama is nowhere near as good, but they're still really good. They have not fallen off like Clemson, and that win over Georgia proved it. Yeah, the almost lost to Auburn kind of proves something too, but it is a rivalry game. We've even seen in some of Alabama's best years, they've almost lost to Auburn, and Auburn might not have been that great. So you can kind of take it with a grain. They won the game, but they beat Georgia. Jalen Milroe's improvement from the Texas game to now is undeniable. No one can deny it. Is he a perfect QB? No. But he's found a way, and Alabama's play calling, Tommy Rees, Nick Saban, they found a way to make Milroe work.
The funny thing is they're using more of Tommy's offense at Notre Dame and less of Saban's offense, which is like so.
It's true. And it's working. I mean, you have to put him in space. He can't sit in the pocket and throw all day because he can run out of the gym. He got fantastic running ability. And Alabama's run game as a whole improved throughout the season because of it. Because when you have a dynamic running quarterback, it opens up lanes for the running backs. Chase McClellan, who he's been questionable. He's been injured a lot, but when he's played, he's been good. Roydell Williams has had a good year. So, I mean, even though no one for Alabama has had the season Blake Corum's had, but, I mean, Alabama doesn't have to run the football as much as Michigan does or as well as Michigan does to win. As long as Milroe's getting, picking up the slack and he doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
If Jalen Milroe does not throw a pick and he throws a couple touchdowns, it spells doom for Michigan. They need to force him into a mistake or two.
And they're probably going to have the best defensive backs that Bama's faced all season.
But, I mean, you talk about, with Michigan as well, we're all talking about Alabama's offense. Michigan, they've had easy sledding this whole entire season. Outside of the Ohio State game where they barely won, but they were able to find a way. And, yeah, they struggled a bit against Maryland. Michigan's had easy sledding. I mean, Blake Corum has 24 rushing touchdowns. A lot of those have been in the red zone. Just hand it to him. He scored. But he still, like I said, had a good year. But Burton is Alabama's leading receiver at 777 yards. Nobody for Michigan is above that. Roman Wilson, none of their tight ends, none of their guys. So, J.J. McCarthy, he sat a lot of the fourth quarter. A lot of these games, like his stats would be a lot higher if he played. That's why he had no shot at the Heisman. Everybody was like, McCarthy he's not going to win the Heisman because he sat too much. He wasn't able to accumulate stats like Bo Nix did, or Michael Penix or Jaden Daniels, who ended up being the ones at the end, and Daniels won it all. But I just think overall that Michigan, it's going to be a road.
I think this game could come down to the quarterbacks. If JJ plays well, I don't know if Bama can win. If Milroe plays well, I don't know if Michigan can win.
I agree.
Yeah.
I just think that with Alabama, they've been tested, right? Like they've, beaten Georgia. They beat Ole Miss. They played the Texas game early in the year and they didn't win. You know, they beat Tennessee. I know no one thinks Tennessee's any good.
Mhm.
And I know Michigan beat Ohio State, but there's not a lot else there. There's not a lot else. Michigan, it's good in a way to cruise to victories, but sometimes it can hurt you because you're not ready for this. Michigan has not had to go through what Alabama went through. Their schedule's a lot easier. It just is. I mean, it's not really – I mean, if the Michigan had a tough non-conference game, that would have helped. But they can't help the Big Ten wasn't as good as what Alabama played, but it's just the truth. I mean, will J.J. McCarthy be able to handle Alabama's corners? Because Alabama's got good corners.
And they've got
Arian Arnold's a good player.
Caleb Downs at safety.
I mean, McCarthy might throw a couple picks out of the blue, you know, that you're not really expecting because Alabama's defense might shock him because he hasn't really had to deal with that. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think Michigan, they're a team that this is probably one of their best chances to do it. They need to win. They need to win it all this year because we don't know how long Harbaugh is going to be there. Maybe he stays there more years. Maybe he doesn't. We don't know. That speculation's been year over year over year lately. And they got a talented team. I mean, this Michigan team is more talented than the Michigan teams in the years past.
Well, this is teams also, like, the best players on Michigan have played the past 2 years. Like, these guys, so they have, although they haven't been tested as much this year, they've been tested throughout their 3 years of being good.
That's true. It is. You know, that's why they came back. They came back because they wanted to win it all. I mean, why else would Blake Corum come back? Because he could have went pro, even with the injury. But still, like, they're an older team, but they're also a really talented team. And this is probably, like, the closest that Michigan has on paper to a team that can win a title than they've had ever in the last 5 to 10 years, 15 years.
Probably since 2006. And even then, I think this team's probably better than that.
Now, like I said, 15 years. I mean, that was 17 years ago. And like Clint said, Bam was testing against Auburn, but that's a rivalry game, like Jeff said. Anything can happen. Even in Alabama's best years, they've struggled with Auburn, as I mentioned before. I think Alabama's going to win the game. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to win. I think I said when I was on the Michigan channel with John and Ty Guy and Jackson on the Voice of College Football, I think I said that Alabama was going to win 28-24. I think it's going to be a bit of a lower scoring game. I don't think it's going to be a shootout all the way. I don't think it's going to be an absolute low scoring game because if Michigan – if they can't get to 20 points, I don't think they're going to win because Alabama's probably going to get to 20s. They have to at least score 28, 24, 28 points to have a shot to win. Michigan cannot slow this thing down completely and try to make it a Big Ten affair. There has to be points, but the defense for Michigan has to force Milroe into mistakes, just like you mentioned as well. Alabama forcing McCarthy into mistakes. Whoever has more mistakes legit could actually win or lose this game. So I think Alabama's going to find a way because Nick Saban has more experience as a head coach winning these type of games than Harbaugh does. Harbaugh's getting the experience, but he's never won. He's never been able to do that. Alabama has. Michigan, this is their best shot, and if they win, wouldn't shock me at all because they have the players. This is a fantastic football team. Michigan deserves all the credit in the world. They fought through all the stuff, the scandals this season. With no Harbaugh for 3 games, they found a way to beat Ohio State without him. But I just think Alabama's going to find a way to win. Even though they're not as good, Milroe's progressed so far. They're a lot better than they were against Texas. The Auburn game, not a fluke, it was a rivalry game. I think Alabama will get it done.
All right. I'll pick Michigan to win just because, like, this is these guys' last shot. They've been together this whole time. They have more experience than Alabama does in these big games. Although Bama's played more big games this season overall, I just think this Michigan team is just more experienced. So I'm going to go with the Maize and Blue to win 28-24.
Yeah, and I was very tempted to pick Michigan for that reason because when you know in your mind this is your last chance, they all came back for this reason. Harbaugh knows, like, we got to do this. They would have rather had Florida State. They would have rather probably had Texas than Alabama. It's tough for Michigan that they got Alabama, but if Michigan wants to prove, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to win it this year, it's a great opportunity. You knock off Alabama, you knock off the team that's been the standard in college football for the last 15 years, so Georgia's done the last 2. If Michigan beat Alabama, that would be huge for them and Jim Harbaugh. It'd be massive. And these players to cap off their careers, a lot of these guys are not going to be back next year the right way, and they could do it. But Alabama, it's a tough nut to crack, and you got to do it first before a lot of people believe in you. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below whether you think that Alabama or Michigan will win this college football playoff semifinal game and what you think about me and WillND's pick for this massive college football playoff matchup. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.